Welcome to the University of Michigan Dentistry Podcast Series, promoting oral health care worldwide.
The chemicals that are used are relatively simple chemicals obtainable at a photographic shop. They're inexpensive and readily available. Now, solution A is made up of water and potassium ferricyanide. Solution B is made up of water and a thiosulfate. It can be either ammonium thiosulfate or sodium thiosulfate. The sodium thiosulfate is commonly called hypo in photographic terminology. So I'll pour out a small quantity of solution A into the beaker. And then solution B, an equal amount. Solution B is colorless. Solution A is yellow. Now the solution would perhaps act too fast, and so I'll have to add some water to dilute it. There's our working solution. Next we'll take one of these dark films. Well, let's not touch this one that's too light. We'll not touch the normal one. We'll not treat the too dark one, but we'll treat all the others. So I'll take this one and we'll modify it chemically using this two-solution reducer. Now this film has been dried for a long time, and so I'm going to put it in water here just to start the gelatin swelling a bit. Now we'll put the film in this bath. Now what is happening is what I illustrated on the chart. The silver grains that are lying near the surface are being transformed into silver ferricyanide. But then just as soon as they are altered, changed into silver ferricyanide by solution A, solution B dissolves them off. It has a selective action. It dissolves silver ferricyanide but does not dissolve silver grains. Now I want to check and see whether I have modified the film sufficiently. So we'll rinse it just to get rid of the surface solution and then hold it up. Well, it's not quite as light as I should like it. So we'll return the film to the bath for further treatment. Agitation sort of speeds up the process. Now if this film had greasy fingerprints on it, the presence of the grease would prevent the chemicals from acting. So films must be cleaned if they have these greasy fingerprints. Any organic solvent is useful for that purpose. So again, we take another peek, and this time I think perhaps the film has become lightened enough. Next, the film should be washed in running water for 20 minutes. No, we're not going to take the time to do that. I'm just giving it a cursory rinse in this water. Now I should like to dry the film rapidly so I can put it back in the mount. In this beaker I have some absolute alcohol. Now that's a very thirsty chemical, and so it's drinking up all of the moisture from the film. The alcohol itself evaporates quite readily. So now I'll put the film back in the mount and it will dry quite soon. Now, while that's drying, let's take the next dark film and we'll treat it by another method. The method I've demonstrated so far has involved treatment of both sides of the film. The treatments that we will go to now will involve treating only one side of the film. I have a bottle of nail lacquer, the kind that the gals like to use, and I'm going to paint one side of my film. Now, all I'm really doing is putting a waterproof coating on this surface of the film. Now, instead of using nail polish to do this, I could use varnish, I could use Vaseline, but Vaseline is a bit messy. It gets on your fingers readily, and it would get transferred to the other side of the film. Now, I'm not very good at this painting job. We should have a gal doing this for us. Now it's going to take just a few minutes for this material to dry, so I'll set it safely aside. And while that is drying, we'll prepare another one of these several dark films. Now, this dark film I will place on a sheet of wax. Now, what I want to do is to burnish this film into the wax. So I place a sheet of paper over top of it, and then with my thumbnail, exerting lots of pressure, I'm burnishing the edges of this film packet down into the wax. So the lower surface of the film is in contact with the wax, and only the upper surface of the film is available to me for this chemical treatment. Now we'll remove the paper, and there is the film in its secured to the wax. Now we'll put that in a tray. I see my burnishing job wasn't quite successful. Let me work a little further on this corner. See, I can't allow the solution to reach the underneath side of the film. Now we'll take some of this reducing solution and we'll pour it down this stick so it comes to rest on this radiograph. Now I'll just move the solution around so it covers all the way out to the edges. So now the solution is touching just the upper surface of the film, and the lower surface is not being treated at all. Now the length of time that it takes for this to completely remove the image from this one side of the film will vary depending upon the strength of the solution that we're using and things like that. But I would imagine a period of maybe 4 minutes would be adequate time for this to completely act. So while that is acting, we'll turn to the remaining dark film, and we want to put a protective coating on this. So to do this, I will take masking tape. Now I wish the masking tape were wide enough so that one pass would completely cover my film. But since it's not wide enough, I have to do it in 2 passes. Now all I'm doing here is trying to waterproof the one side of the film. All right, there the film is stuck to the tape. Now we'll take a scissors and chop off a little bit of the excess. Now this film we will put in the beaker, and only one side of the film is in contact with the solution. Now again, that will take perhaps 4 minutes for the chemical to eat off the picture that's on one side of the film. Now we can return to the film that was secured to the wax, and I'll simply just pour off the excess solution. A little water to rinse off the remaining yellow reducer solution. Now I'll peel the film loose from its wax cover, fasten it to a clip, give it a brief rinse. This is 20 minutes in running water that we're giving now. And this is what we have come down to. So you see the picture is less contrasty and less dense. Now to quickly dry it, we'll put it in the absolute alcohol bath. That ought to be just about enough. Now I'll put it back in the mount. And it would dry rapidly. The first film that I returned to the mount has long since been dried. Now there is one thing to be said for these techniques that treat only one side of the film, and that is the element of time. If I leave the film with the one side protected and the other side in contact with the bath for 10 minutes, that's fine. 50 minutes, that's just as good. In other words, it is not time dependent after the image has been completely cleared from one side of the film. Not so with the 2-solution dip and peak look. That's where I treated both sides. If I were called away from my activity by a phone call and I came back 5 minutes later, I'd have no image on the film at all, just a clear sheet of plastic. That could not happen with this other method. For radiographs that are too large to be coated by any of the previously demonstrated methods, we have this alternate method. We simply take the large radiograph and tape its edges securely to the bottom of a tray. Thus, we have rendered the underside of the film waterproof. Then we'd simply pour the reducing solution over the film and agitate and allow it to act for a sufficient length of time to completely remove the image that's on the top surface of the film. Following that, we would wash the film and dry it. All right, this completes the various methods for the chemical reduction of radiographs that are too dark from any cause.
You've been listening to a presentation from the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, which is dedicated to supporting open learning and open educational resources. This recording is licensed under the Creative Commons. It may be reused and redistributed for nonprofit use. Please attribute materials to the University of Michigan School of Dentistry and redistribute under this same license. For more information on how this and other University of Michigan School of Dentistry recordings may be used, visit www.dent.umich.edu/license.